E te rangatira jau, e te kahurangi aroha, tēnei mātou e tangi apakura nei ki a kōrua, hoki hoki mai rā. Welcome to the Hui Māori Current Affairs for all New Zealanders. E taro ake nei. It's the third world disease that's menacing Māori communities.
One more day and it would have been in the ground.
It shouldn't be happening in 2022.
We're on the front line in the fight against rheumatic fever.
It's one of the worst things you would want to hear, that one of your kids in your kura has come back positive for rheumatic fever, and you know that you tried everything to prevent it.
Then we speak to the newly elected chair of Ngāti Kahungunu. And we check out the whanau-led project Housing a New Generation of Rātana Pā kids.
For a lot of people, this is going to be life-changing. It's a dream that they've always had in their lives, and now it's going to be a reality.
Tahuti mai. Rheumatic fever is a deadly disease which can leave tamariki with lifelong heart damage, joint swelling and respiratory illness. For the last 10 years, Tūhoi organisation Tūhoi Hauora has worked hard to prevent it through its Flax Roots screening program. But in 2022, why is rheumatic fever still such a risk to tamariki? And what challenges is the COVID pandemic posing for Māori communities? Anei te pūrongo a John Boynton.
Taneatua in the Eastern Bay of Plenty is the gateway to the heartland of Tūhoi and the base for local health provider Tūhoi Hauora.
Did you have medicine coffee or no?
No, but I have the plasters. Do you have the prep pads?
Yeah.
One of its longest running services is its rheumatic fever screening program.
When I first started, I was whaikorokoro. Hi, whaikorokoro. That's not my name. Now everybody is your niece, nephew at the schools.
Doesn't matter what school you go to. Hi, Auntie.
Kaimahi Dolly Thrupp and Aroha Tepa are on the front line leading the program. Today they're gearing up for a busy day of visiting kura, where they carry out swab tests.
We go twice a week to all our 7 schools, as far as Nukuhau that way and Waiuhau that way, which can take us pretty much all day to go around to all our schools.
Their first stop is at Te Kura o Roatoke.
All right.
They're testing for strep throat, which can develop into rheumatic fever if left untreated.
How's kid up?
Rheumatic fever is a deadly sickness, causing lifelong heart damage, joint swelling and respiratory illness.
That's one of the worst things you would want to hear, that one of your kids in your kura has come back positive for rheumatic fever, and you know that you tried everything to prevent it.
This red line shows Māori hospitalisation rates for rheumatic fever. While other ethnic groups' hospitalisation rates dropped during the pandemic, Māori rates remained unchanged.
This is a disease of those in low economic situations with poor housing and poor healthcare outcomes.
Hi, Marama.
Morena.
How are we today?
Good, thank you.
Marama Stewart is the principal of Te Kura o Taneatua, a decile 1 kura where strep throat infections are high.
Morena, can anyone, if you have a sore korokoro, if you have a sore throat, come into the office now and the team will check your mamai korokoro. I was at a decile 9 school for 7 years. No one ever had rheumatic fever there.
Thank you.
Moving here, coming and finding we have a rheumatic team that screens, it was a huge learning curve on what the effect rheumatic fever has on many of our whānau.
That impact is children missing kura, being hospitalised with rheumatic fever and having to receive painful monthly bicillin injections until they're 21 years old.
It's the worst feeling in the world, and most of our staff have had to, over the years, support children getting the injections here. It's pretty awful.
But she knows it would be much worse without the rheumatic screening team.
The providers of the screening are what's keeping us above water.
Tūhoe Hauora first launched the screening program in 2012, where it was led by Tina Biddle, better known as Nanny Sunshine.
When we first started, the first week, we were getting like 30 strip throats, 30, which is quite huge, you know.
She works alongside her uri, Henare Ruru, and Tōpaia Pryor, who both had rheumatic fever as children.
I was 8 years old when I was diagnosed with rheumatic fever. My kuia, they back then put Vicks in my nose and Vicks down my mouth. I think it was the wrong way to do things. But hey, at the time, she was adamant that it was the right way. It was huronoa.
That's how kuias are.
Yeah.
So I was diagnosed when I was 11, a little bit late. So one more day and I would have been in the ground, pretty much.
Tōpaia Pryor's battle to stay alive planted the seed for the screening program. When she first became sick, doctors struggled to find out what was wrong with her.
It wasn't until my mother had taken me to my kuia and they did a healing on me, gave me a mirimiri, gave me some rongoa Māori and told my mother, you need to take her to the hospital, it's something to do with her heart.
She had rheumatic fever, but her symptoms went undiagnosed to the point her face started to swell.
So we were freaking out and we were rushed to A&E. They took me in straight away and my heart had actually enlarged and it was sitting under my armpit and I had fluid in my liver, so they had to drain it all day. It took all day, and after all of that was done, I was put on a chopper and sent straight to Starship.
For her mum, Hana Harawira, who was a health professional, it was a devastating blow.
She was just so broken. She was so sad for me. Yeah, I really felt that.
But her mum was glad to finally have answers and lead her daughter's recovery.
So contact sport was a big no-no. That I listened, that's another story.
Hana quickly got to work setting up the rheumatic fever screening program in 2012. She passed away in 2015, but the legacy of her mahi lives on.
So Hana was so passionate after what happened to Tōpaia, because we saw Tōpaia when she was thinking, it was painful to watch Hana and to see her go through that.
The zipper scar from Tōpaia Pryor's heart operation has almost faded, but she's proud of the mark her mum's left on her hapori.
It's a nice, warm feeling, and especially the people that are still doing it, and to see that they're still passionate about their mahi and still working hard and going into the schools.
10 years on, Marama Stewart says the COVID pandemic is presenting a new set of challenges.
I think it's double-edged sword. All of the extra hygiene measures, social distancing, that has helped somewhat to stop spread, but it also means kids who may be sick haven't been at school because of lockdowns and haven't had access to that screening.
In 2021, the government announced funding of $10 million to create a vaccine to prevent strep throat and in turn rheumatic fever. But with vaccine hesitancy high amongst whānau, Marama Stewart believes her community won't take it up.
I think again the vaccine will be taken up by the affluent rich communities again, as it did for the COVID vaccines, and our communities will miss out again.
You wish that we wouldn't have a job in the next 10 years, but the way our communities are and how we live, I doubt it'll ever go away.
Dolly Thrupp and Aroha Tepa know the job to keep rheumatic fever out of their rohe isn't done.
We live and breed it here, you know, in Tūhoi. We community people. Doesn't just stop when we leave the door at 5 o'clock.
But they're doing all they can to protect their people.
You can hand out so many pamphlets, but I think being a part of the community, knowing them, is more than a piece of paper.
We've got no future without our kids, and our kids are just as important and will make as great an impact, if allowed to, as the rich whānau.
You need that.
Nā John Boynton te rari puata. I ngā nito nei, ka huake tātou ki te pā o rātana mō tetehi kaupapa hanga whare. As Māori home ownership continues to plummet, one whānau has taken matters into their own hands, developing their very own low-cost papakainga. Soon, 9 Manawatu Whanganui families will move into their very own whare, a dream that's been achieved on a wing and a prayer. Kia tahuria ki tātou. Rātana, population 345. It's most famous as the birthplace of Prophet Tahupōtiki Wiremu-Rātana. His spectacular church, the centrepiece of this tiny town. It's the kind of place where kids still roam free and everyone knows each other.
Paula, what was it like growing up at the pā?
Oh, it was cool. We used to just go running through creeks. It's a lot of fun out here.
It's freedom, eh? It's true freedom, I reckon.
It's safe.
It's a life Troy Tāmo and his wife Paula want for their 3 tamariki. But until now, it's been impossible to buy a house here. T.W. Rātana originally owned all the whenua in the area, but he slowly sold it off to pay for his overseas missions. That means the pā has been pretty much landlocked, making it hard for successive generations to build their own whare here.
Is that the dream, to live back on the pā in your own whare?
Yes, definitely. We're very excited.
It's a dream that's been a dream for generations, eh? You know, our parents' dream, their parents' dream, and then hopefully it'll be our kids' dream, hopefully.
Now the dream of owning their own home is about to become a reality. It's all been made possible by Paula's cousin, Talia Anderson-Town, and her husband, Cameron, who run an accountancy firm.
And we'll construct the fences along there once the properties are built.
What I want to see is children playing with each other, children coming together in a community, loving the lifestyle that they can have.
You know, all the families have got kids, and just to see them running around happy in their own home rather than renting and stuff like that, I think that's going to be, it'll bring joy to all of us, I think.
About 7 years ago, Talia and Cameron convinced a local farmer to carve off a slice of land on the edge of town so they could build their own home. But then they saw an opportunity for the wider whānau.
We also noticed that the sections next door to us were far beyond the reach of a lot of the people that were living in the community. They were expensive, they were big, and so from our perspective we thought, oh, we could, you know, purchase those blocks of land with the opportunity to be able to create a community right next to us.
They ended up buying 5 sections and are now building 9 low-cost homes that'll be priced below $375,000.
Even if it's only just 9 homes, you know, maybe it might be a model that other people can use around the country to get first home buyers into their own home, and especially into a community that they can relate to as well.
Everything is being done at cost, with the couple not making a cent on the development.
For a lot of people, this is going to be life-changing. It's going to have a massive impact on them. It's a dream that they've always had in their lives, and now it's going to be a reality.
We have to cover petrol as well, don't forget.
Despite the low cost, it still hasn't been easy for the new homeowners.
That's our rates, that's our insurance.
Talia has put her accountancy skills to the test, helping everyone save for their new whare.
It's been a long process for them. A lot of them have had to change the way they spend. A lot of them have actually moved back in with their whānau to be able to save so that they can have that deposit. So a lot of them have made sacrifices so that they can have that deposit and that certainty to be able to buy that home.
You got band practice and I just got karate practice.
In Troy and Paola's case, that sacrifice meant moving back to her parents' whare, which was already packed to the rafters.
We took 12 to 15 people living in one house, one bathroom. But, you know, there's a goal at the end of it. There's a big goal, you know, there's a goal at the end of the rainbow sort of thing.
Can you share with us, you know, how much you've had to save?
Close to 100,000 saved, I'd say, from thankful for living here.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations, well done.
And that's all to the help of her parents, really, for free living, whānau free living, yeah. Well, this is our big chunk of dirt right here.
With services in the ground, work is finally about to begin on the development, which has been delayed multiple times by COVID. It's all been a steep learning curve for Talia and Cameron, with raw materials skyrocketing and council costs high.
It is challenging. It shouldn't be this hard. You know, everyone should be able to own their own home. You know, banks should be able to lend to first home buyers. And I think we need a system where we make it easier in New Zealand.
Now the final plans have been signed off.
This is a 3-bedroom, so that's a front shot, and that's a back shot of what the home is going to look like.
9 whānau are about to get brand new homes. An incredible achievement by Talia and Cameron that will benefit generations of Rātanapā kids to come.
It's got a nice sized garage, all open plan living.
You know, there's a housing shortage and, you know, I can't fix that housing shortage, but I think as a community, as a whole, maybe there are many people out there that can help do what I'm doing as well. So making dreams a reality for whānau who can live in their own home.
You know, what do you imagine when you think about what would you be doing in 10 years together?
I imagine that it'll be like us growing up, eh? Kids, hopefully they're all out on the road playing together. And I'd say that'll probably be Talia's dream too, to have all the kids just, you know, to have your street full of kids.
Have all our babies growing up with all their cousins out here is awesome.
Kua tupu te pā harakeke. Ka rawe, a koe nei ka kōrero māua ko te hea mana o ngā tikahungunu. For the first time in quarter of a century, Ngā Tika Hungunu Iwi Incorporation has a new chair. Hastings District Councillor Baden Barber won the triennial election last month, deposing Ngāhiwi Tōmoana, who led the iwi for 25 years. The Hawke's Bay Wairarapa-based tribe is the third largest by head of population. It's also been active in opposing the uplift of tamariki Māori by Oranga Tamariki, as well as taking court action alongside Ngāi Tahu, seeking rangatiratanga over fresh water. To share his vision for Ngā Tika Hungunu, I'm joined now by from Waimarama by Baden Barber. Tēnā koe te tūngane.
Tēnā koe te tuahine. Tēnā tātou.
Kia ora, mai wairo ki Wairarapa he tino rahi tō rohe. Hoi no he koe no roto o Ngā Tika Hungunu?
Tupoke nei au I Waimarama nei. Te taha moana o heretanga. No reire koera tōku tūranga waiwai. Engari tōku kuia no te Wairarapa, te taha tōku māma, tōku kuia, te taha tōku pāpa no te Wairoa. No reire kei te whai pānga atu ki ngā tōpito katoa o Ngā Tika Hungunu.
Kia ora. Ko roa ngāhiwi tōmoana I noho ana hei māngai mo te iwi. Hoi no he tīmatanga hou tēnei mōu. Kua whakarite koe he rautake hou?
Ai, koera tāku I kōrero nei te wāotaku huri haere I tō tāta nei rohinga o Ngā Tika Hungunu. I te kōrero ai mo tēnei me te kotahitanga. Te whakakao tanga o tō tāta nei iwi, kia tūpakari ai tātou, I mua te kāwanatanga, I mua I ngā kaunihera, me era tūmomoropu. No reira, kia au nei, ko te anga whakamuatanga o Ngā Tika Hungunu, ka tino hanga atu ki tēnei me te kotahitanga.
Ka pai, fisheries, horticulture, along with technology and tourism, they seem to be staples for Ngā Tika Hungunu. But in recent years, the iwi has led the calls for government to devolve power and funding to basically get out of the way, particularly in areas like Oranga Tamariki child welfare. Is that still a focus?
Yeah, it is definitely a focus. But I think, as I mentioned earlier, about bringing our people together, we have a really big rohe from Pari to Turaki Rai, Te Wairo to Wairarapa. And our treaty settlements have been settled differently in terms of our hapu have led those. And so we have a number of settlements up and down our rohe. But I think in terms of going forward, there's an opportunity to come together so that when we need to move in terms of government interactions, local government interactions, we can move together. And I think that's where the strength of Ngā Tika Hungunu will be in the future. And, the ability to attract greater benefits back to our marae hapu and whānau.
Yeah, what are some of those benefits? What are you thinking?
So, well, I mean, we at the moment, we are currently working through a health reform, Three Waters reform, the RMA reform. So all of those impact our whānau. And the opportunity to, and if you're talking about Oranga Tamariki, to put the pou in the ground, to say, anei a Ngā Tika Hungunu, these are the aspirations, these are our values, and these are expectations of government departments and others. If you want to work with us, because we certainly want to work together, but they need to be under those terms. So, yeah, I think the opportunities are there together. Collectively, if you look at our treaty settlements up and down our rohe, it's about $500 million, and being able to mobilise that, to unify that, I think the opportunities are really are endless for our people.
Ka pai, also Ngā Tika Hungunu has made, great strides in the area of the revitalisation of te reo Māori. What are your vision for te reo?
For te reo Māori, our vision is that Ngā Tika Hungunu is thriving. Our whānau hapu are speaking out ill. Our marae are illustrating how that needs to be done, in our ōkawa settings. but also opaki, just our whānau being able to speak and kōrero, ngā kaupapa. But I think it comes back to a hapu whānau level, the timata mai kona. Whanau has been a community that have been pohara in decades past when it came to reo. But it's about coming together, having a plan. We had a 25-year plan which comes up in 2026, and replicating that around Aotearoa. So the iwi's there to support, but if we can get our whānau and hapu taking those strides initially, I think kei reira te oranga ake o tō tātou reo Māori.
I tērā marama i te tangihana o moana Jackson i kitea i tātou te tū a te wāhine i ringi i te marae. I tautoko hea o whakaro ki tērā?
Yeah, that was a pretty controversial. I mean, we have had wāhine kōrero i rungi te pai i ngā wā omua. So it's not a new thing for kahungunu. However, in saying that, it's been a while since we've had that practice used on our marae. So, I think it's an opportune time to have that kōrero. And I think Matahiwi kind of revitalised that practice. But we need to have a wider kōrero amongst ourselves around, kawa and tikanga o ngā te kahungunu. And just see how everyone's feeling at the moment around that, because, we don't all agree on some things. And so it's an opportunity to have that wānanga. I think that would be really important.
Was it refreshing to listen to?
Yeah, I heard a couple of the kōrero, and, he mea hau tēnā te au. I've never seen a woman speak on the marae Aotea before, personally, even though, some of our kaumātua have had that experience. But he mea hau kia hau, and I think to most of the people that were at that tangihanga. So, I don't think we should be afraid of having that kōrero. It needs to be had, though. And, there's two sides of the story, and I've heard both sides since that tangi. People expressing how they feel about it. So, I think as an iwi o Ngāti Kahungunu, ko taiki te wā, kia kōrero tahi ai tātou, i tērā kaupapa, and maybe the motu. It's time, yeah.
Tēnā koe te tūngane, kia ora.
Kia ora, tēnā.
Hei tērā wiki, he kaupapa hauora. Next week on The Hui.
Why did you want to talk to us?
I wanted to share my story about heart disease.
Why?
20 years old and fighting for her life, Letitia Poharama is crippled with an inherited heart condition that took the life of her twin brother.
They're only babies, and they shouldn't have had to go through this.
Cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of premature death among Māori, double the rate of Pākehā.
One of the key reasons is that currently the health system does not treat Māori or Pacifica or other minority groups equitably compared to non-Māori.
Next week, an intimate look into Letitia's struggle.
Sometimes I think, why us? Why me and my brother?
Ko hikina te hui mo tēnei rā, pai marire kia tātou katoa. Nā te puna whakatongarewa te hui I tautoko.